My father, who was an engineer, used to say that for everything in life, there is a mathematical explanation. So, let's start with algebra. Everybody knows that if A is the same as B and B is the same as C, then A is the same as C, which I totally agree with, because all my life I thought that if I fucked John and John fucked Mary, then I definitely fucked Mary. But then I think, if I talk bad about Peter and Peter talked bad about Sarah, did I also talk bad about Sarah? Then I remember something else he used to say. He used to say that numbers never lie, that always someone wins. There is war in Iraq, someone wins. There are bombs in Spain, someone wins. There is terrorism in Colombia, someone wins. There is hunger in Africa, someone wins. And if someone wins, there is an explanation for it. But then I think, if A talks bad about B, it's certainly not B that wins. Then it should be A. But then I think with all the credibility that A is losing by the simple fact of trying to put himself up by putting someone else down, I didn't see much of a social benefit in there. So then I think if the answer is not in algebra, the answer should be in geometrics. There are points, there are lines, and there are circles. Point would be then the individual. Line would be then the space between two individuals, and circles the inevitable energy that comes back to each individual. But then I think if it would be so clear that whatever we put out is what comes back to us, I didn't see much of an explanation in there. Suddenly, I remembered the concept of perspective, for which each object changes shape according to the angle it's been observed from. So then I thought, if we could only passively occupy the same mental and physical place one of another, is that we could possibly have the same opinion on a certain human being. So then I thought, if the answer is not in mathematics, the answer should be in language. And I went running to the dictionary. And to my surprise, I found out that there is one single word that involves the entire phenomenon. In Spanish, maledicencia. In Portuguese, maledicencia too. In English, backbiting. In Dutch, kwaadspreken. But suddenly I realized that even if it was the verb, the most practiced by everybody I knew, nobody had a single clue that it had a name. So then I thought it's going to be the writers, it's going to be the philosophers that are going to help me. And I found out that while Wilhelm Faulkner says that it's a terrible habit that human beings have of saying behind each other's back things that are absolutely wrong, Oscar Wilde says that is the terrible habit that human beings have of saying behind each other's back things that are absolutely true. So then I thought, what the fuck? Is it that Faulkner is a better person than Wilde or vice versa? So then I went running to the planetarium, sure that I was going to find my answer in astrology. But on the way to the planetarium, I remembered suddenly this poor Val in this very poor village owned by this very old woman with no teeth called Stella. On top of the front door, it was written, Bar and Restaurant Stella. If your star does not shine, don't try to put out mine. So then I thought, with all the shining stars in the universe, it's not going to be in astrology that I'm going to find my answer. So then I grabbed the first newspaper that crossed my way, and to my surprise, I realized that they write killing things about the living and revitalizing things about the dead. So for a moment, I wished I would be dead. But then I thought, I'm going to find the answer in biology. And I did come quite far. I came to the point of finding out that there is one little insect in Africa called the dung beetle. And this insect has a bag full of shit. And he collects the shit from the big animals, from the elephants, from the rhinocerontes, and he uses that big bag of shit to seduce his female. And for the female, of course, the bigger the better. So when I finally thought I found the explanation, or at least the origin of my question, I realized that even if they use the shit of others for their own profit, they don't do it behind the back. So then I thought, my mother is going to give me the answer. And I went running to my mother. And my mother looked at me, and very calmly she said, people are like this. Don't try to understand, and float.